Have you ever thought to yourself, I know that I'm meant for so much more, so why do I feel so lost? One of the most important issues that people have is that they feel that they have this important calling to them, that they feel that they have something important to serve and to do in this world, but they don't know exactly what it is, and especially they don't have the clarity or the tools to actually step into that version of themselves and start living that kind of mission that they feel are calling them. So in this video, I will show you the exact steps that I used and that I've taught to so many others to get out of that kind of state of confusion and finally start living a life that is aligned with my mission. Step one is really looking at why you feel lost in the first place, because without this step, you can't actually get out of the loop. And to allow you to understand this, I want to explain my own example and my own story. This was about a decade ago. I had gone through a really important spiritual awakening, and I really felt that I was meant for so much more. I really felt that the life that I was living, the friendship circle that I had, the place in which I was living, everything was out of alignment with what I felt that I saw for myself in the future. But what I saw for myself in the future was actually very vague. It was really just this feeling that I was meant for something so much more, and I had no idea on how I could actually step into that, or how I could attract that, or how I could even put a name of what I was sensing. And I was at the moment living in an apartment, in a small apartment in the middle of Stockholm, and I was doing a 9-to-5 job that I was not very passionate about. At a certain moment, I decided, okay, I want to go after this calling. I want to know what that is. And so I decided to quit that day job and to just spend my time in meditation. And my idea was that until I don't find what I am here to do, this reason, this calling that I feel, so that I can act upon it, I will not step out of that state of meditation. And so my days looked like this. I would wake up very early, I would sit in meditation. In this moment, it was also winter time outside, and I sometimes would sit in contemplation, looking at the snowflakes that were falling outside of my window with some classical or healing music in the background. And this process actually continued for 6 months until at a certain point I ran out of money and I really needed to go back to my day job. And I felt so defeated. I had the sense of, why is this happening to me? How is it impossible that I've taken all of this time to really find this thing, and I've done something that many people aren't too comfortable to do or too afraid to do, to quit your job and actually really look at the problem here, and I'm not getting anywhere. What am I doing wrong? So if maybe you haven't been that drastic in trying to find what is your thing or what your mission should be, but you might feel yourself in the same kind of situation of dread of not understanding how to actually move forward and to start manifesting and stepping into that life mission, and especially finding that thing that you feel are calling you. Now, in my example, the problem here was actually action. So in understanding our purpose, we need to look at the 3-set formula: your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. When these 3 align, this is really when you have this kind of magical manifestation situation in which you can actually understand and step in to your higher mission or to anything that you're trying to manifest in your life. In my case, yes, I had the thoughts, and yes, I had the emotions, but I did not have the actions. I was actually completely static inside of my home. Yes, I was meditating and I was trying to work on, the kind of stillness of mind to let these creative impulses, this inner mission of mine to arise, but I didn't really act upon anything. And in reality, when you're trying to find your purpose or we're trying to manifest something, you need to act constantly in alignment with your emotions and your thoughts. But to take another step backward, another problem is that oftentimes we are not wary of our emotions and thoughts and how deep they really run. And normally one of the problems that I see, and was a problem for me as well, is that we have been taught to follow society's rules and not to listen to our own inner calling or to our own inner truth. This kind of conditioning goes so deep that even our thoughts and our emotions oftentimes are not aligned, even though we think they are, even though we sit in meditation, as in my case. But what happened to me was that I was, yes, sitting in meditation, silencing my mind. But when I was not in meditation and when I was up and about living my everyday life, I was frustrated. I felt left out. I had a lot of patterns, emotional and thought patterns, feeling like a failure, feeling that I was not doing the right thing, and actually believing that I needed to seek some kind of success outside of myself. I was really living within this palette of what society tells you what success looks like or how your life should look like, even though I was trying to break free from that. And so that is really a paradox, which is why I always tell my clients nowadays that the first thing that we need to look at is really our conditionings. That means, what is the backstory that you're saying to yourself, even unconsciously? What is your core beliefs? Because this is what will show up in your emotional patterns, in your thought patterns, and as a consequence, how you act and how you behave. And this is oftentimes very, very unconscious. For example, in my own example, when I was sitting in my apartment and I'd taken the decision to quit my job, to actually go after this dream life or really sit in contemplation until that arose within me. But every day I was still extremely preoccupied with economics. I was still feeling like a failure. I was still really in my everyday life living out of scarcity. And scarcity, not only when it came to economics, but a kind of scarcity mindset in general. And so this is what, showed up, because in the end, everything around us is just a mirror of our unconscious beliefs about ourselves and about life. And so we really need to target those first before we start to really try to unravel and try to go after and find what we are truly here to do, because otherwise they will be there in the background blocking us constantly. And connected to this is that you're normally chasing a kind of success, but normally it's not your version of success. Again, this is a version that has been sold from us by society. So the second step is to actually get really clear on what does success mean for you. So in every aspect of your life, financially, time-wise, and time-wise, this is, I think, the most underrated thing that people are not speaking about, because time is the most valuable asset that we have in our lives. And normally we are not looking at time in that sense. Normally we're looking at the way of having your own free time, or your time is like a consequence. But in reality, you should actually structure your life around how much time do you want to do what you love. Normally our answer, or my answer to my clients, is really, you should want to have all the time possible, or like 24 hours a day, to actually live your life from that sense of purpose. That does not mean that sometimes you do things or you spend time on things that is not your ideal situation. But if that is working towards your ideal situation, then that is time worth spending, because also the journey of arriving to a certain point is the beauty of life. Normally, life is the journey. So also acknowledging and becoming mindful of the time you spend in trying to build something is really, really important. And when I'm speaking about time, what I don't want to happen for you is that you spend time mindlessly or unconsciously. That is when we say that we let life slip away, or we live life without really living. We go around being asleep. This is not what we want. Yes, we can have hard times. Yes, we can do the hurdles. Yes, we can do, but we are living it fully. We're living it fully alive. So step 2 is really about create a map of what success looks like for you. In your relationship, what is success looking like? In your relationships with a partner, with your children, with your family, with your friends, how does the sphere of relationship looks like for you? If you're thinking about your success life financially, how does it look for you? How much money do you want? Actually go down and write down exactly the number that you would like every month or every week or every day, whatever. Or even to focus on what are the kind of experiences that you would like your finances to allow you to have. Then you need to look at your health, very important thing that especially we young people, we tend to forget, and me myself, because oftentimes you just think of health when it's going downwards, not when you're in health, but really what kind of energy levels do you want to have? What kind of food do you feel nourishes your body? And so on and so on. So you're looking really at the whole spectrum of what success will look like, so that you actually have a roadmap to go towards. This also encourages you to see where in those points in your life is it lacking, and why is it lacking, which goes back to the first point, looking at what are the core beliefs that you have about these aspects that you want to have success in your life, and what is it in your belief system that is blocking you for entering into that kind of life right now. If there are practical steps, that is the easiest thing. Normally we need to work on both sets of beliefs and behaviors, mindset that you need to change, and also then the practical steps. I've actually created a free visionary toolkit guide with practical steps to start to design your dream life and start to step into that kind of mission and these points that we're speaking about. So if you're interested in going deeper into that, just comment free guide and I will send it directly to you. Step 3 to why you might feel lost, even if you feel that you're meant for more, is that you have actually done some big spiritual work and you have outgrown your current life situation, but in the physical reality around you, things have not fallen into place yet. So there's a time delay which makes you feel very frustrated and makes you feel that you don't know what you're really doing wrong. And whereas in my example, while sitting meditating and watching the snowflakes fall outside of my window, it was a both situation, whereas both, yes, I had outgrown my life, and the problem to why things didn't align as they should have was because I was not really taking action on what I felt. But sometimes there's also just this time delay of the physical reality to really manifest. So sometimes just having patience and trusting the process is very important, even though I still urge to act. If you want things to go faster, remember to align your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. The reason to sometimes why we are not acting is again because of a set of unconscious beliefs and conditions that we have had from early in life. As in school, we are extremely taught to be afraid to make mistakes and to be afraid to take a leap into something unknown. And this is also how our brain works. It really works in the sense of protecting you from stepping into a zone that it is not comfortable in, that it feels like a new territory. This is a safeguard mechanism in our brain. So also allowing ourselves to train ourselves to be more in alignment with that calling and with our soul that says take the leap, than with our brain blockaging that, saying alert, alert, danger zone here, is also something that we need to train. And it's a muscle that when we start doing that more and more and more, we start to see also showing to our brain that it's not dangerous. When we start to be more in alignment with our body as well. Step 5 to why you might feel lost is that many of us who are awakening are people who have been people-pleasing for our whole life. So much so that we have completely lost contact with our true authentic voice. So what is people-pleasing? People-pleasing is really the fear of not being loved for who we are, masked as being nice towards people, masked as going along with people. And really the core problem here, and I say this as an ex-people pleaser who have worked so hard with this and have been so stepped on in my life, where I was so afraid to actually voice my truth, that I was just like, oh, but it's fine. And I really believed everything is fine. I'm a social chameleon and everything is fine with me, it's okay. I understand your perspective, which is also, I'm highly spiritually evolved. So I understand your perspective and that you're hurt, which then makes me allow you to treat me badly. This is not spirituality. This is not how we respect and honor ourselves. So people-pleasing is a syndrome of today's society also because we are taught as children that if we don't comply with the rules of our parents or with the rules in school, then we won't be liked. This is something that needs a lot of core work and oftentimes a lot of healing work for people to really have the courage to love themselves so much so that they don't need to care about what other people think. Or it's not that they don't care about what other people think, but it's that they're checking in with themselves first. Do I love me first? Do I value myself first? Am I going in the direction that feels good, that feels right for me? And then the likes and the opinions of others, if that are positive, that is a plus, but that is not conditional. Okay? It's not something that we strive for in order to feel a sense of self-worth. Step number 6 to why you might feel lost and how to overcome that is that you might surround yourself with the wrong people that has the wrong kind of frequency or is not aligned at all with where you want to go. And so you constantly doubt yourself because you're not seeing around you as normal something that you feel and long and lack inside of you. How to overcome this? What do you think? Now, I'm not saying that you should cut ties with all of your friendship groups or, with your family or everything like this. But it's very important to be mindful of the fact that if you're in the company of people who are not cheering you on, or who wants to keep you in the version of you that they knew, that they valued, and so they're keeping you small, you need to start looking for alternative. It might be a gradual change. It might be like as radical as I did. I cut ties and I was sitting alone for the most of the time, which didn't really help because I didn't have anyone around me except myself. But at a certain point, you really need to detach and let go of a certain set of people who might not be in alignment of the version of you that you want to step into. And it might even just be that you start to surround yourself with online presence, like people who share you on online, even influencers or coaches who are giving, like I do now, free content online. If you like that, actually watching videos of these people, being in contact with people, being in contact with communities that they're connected to, actually really allows you to step into this new version of you. Because normally we say that you are the sum of the 5 closest people that you spend the most time with. And so it doesn't necessarily need to mean that you need to, radically shift your life and go and live in an intentional community like I did. But just taking even the baby steps of consuming content and becoming friends with people that you actually feel in alignment with online. It might be listening to their podcasts, watching their videos, consuming their content, taking part of their courses. This is really a way that you can step in to this version of yourself and step into also getting to know people within that set of community that you want to align with. This was the steps for you in this video. And if you're interested in going further in understanding the mindset that I use to get out of this rat race situation, I suggest you continue watching this video where I go deeper into that. And also in this moment, I have an opening window for 10 people for my Radical Emergence program, which is a 12-week coaching program where we go really deep together within this intimate circle of really learning how to understand what is our core mission and how can we step into that, so to radically transform our life in only 3 months. If you're interested in being a part of these 10 people of this intimate circle, you can click the link below and I hope to see you.